and welcome to a short little video. I'm not going to take much of your time, but it's something I've been meaning to get off my chest because there are often times whereby you decide you want to talk about something, or you have a theory, or you have something you'd like to put across to the world, and you decide to keep it to yourself and someone else says the exact same thing and they take all credit for it. So now, in this case, we'll be looking at Kazuya. I would like to first put up a disclaimer that I am not a Kazuya player at all. I like the character, I do not play him, so the nuances, the greater details of the character are definitely something that I have no or little experience with, besides just the basics of how to use Kazuya as a character. So in this case, we're dealing with Kazuya, Tekken 7 of course, a game of choice. What I would like to talk about in particular when dealing with Kazuya is his rage drive. Now in this case, if we look at the moves list, Kazuya has two rage drives. Initially the rage drive comes from his demon uppercut, his DP as I would like to call it. You can transform into your devil trigger. I'll call it your devil trigger. You can transform into his devil trigger using that way in his devil form, or you can just press up back 1+2. Now, the issue I have with Kazuya's devil form is that if we were to look at Kazuya's devil form, certain sequences that he used to have, like down forward 1-4, doesn't exist in his form. So some of the basic screw combos that you would like to utilize as base form Kazuya don't exist in this form. So in this case, he has other moves that you could potentially use. So for example, he's got his twin pistons, and you can use your 2-2 as a screw. You know, he's got many different moves. Got forward 1+2, a throwback to Jinpachi. He's got quite a lot of unique moves in this devil form that are unique only to this form. It's one of those situations whereby the character changes, and it's good to switch up the gameplay. What I could compare him to is characters like Zeku in Street Fighter, where you can switch between the old form and the young form of Zeku, where you have two separate movesets for one character. This brings about a lot of depth when learning the character. You have different combo sets for when you're Kazuya outside of rage and when you're Kazuya in rage. So the only issue I have with this particular situation is that you only get to activate rage when you're within your last 20% of your life bar. So to get this transformation, if we were to look at the screen, you'd only really achieve it when you get to the really dark purple portion of the life bar. So at that particular case, you are already dead. You've reached a threshold whereby people only need to do one combo or one small offensive sequence and you are already dead as the Kazuya. So in that case, I've always found that there's a dilemma. Should I then use my rage drive to just transform into Devil Kazuya, or should I try find a big opening and potentially get a big damage combo using my rage? In situations like that, I feel like most players tend to go for the rage art or the rage drive combos because it's a sure certain way to getting some form of big damage when you're playing. Well, I seem to be off. But anyway, that's my point. There isn't much incentive when in rage, in your last 20%, to use up back 1+2. Fair and fine, the actual devil form transformation from the uppercut can be used in combos. That's fine, you can still get your big damage and transform, but I'm not gonna be looking at that in particular. I'm looking at the situation whereby you are playing the neutral, you're doing whatever it is you want to do as a Kazuya player in the neutral, and then I'm in rage. What incentive do I have to just immediately do a raw transformation? Not much in my opinion, and to be honest with you, when I watch most Kazuya players play, I don't get to see much up back 1+2 in any game at all. I can't say I've actually seen it. Most of the time, most people are just looking for the big whiff punish and then they go for whatever combo they want to do, get the tail spin and then straight into rage, and that's how the rage ends up going for Kazuya. They use it as a comeback factor for like most characters do. So now, in my personal opinion, if I were to buff Kazuya, what would I then do? In that situation, I feel like up back 1+2 should actually be akin to Elena's super in Street Fighter 3. For anyone who's a fan of the Street Fighter series, if you know Elena, she has a super in which she sacrifices her super meter to heal herself for a certain portion of her life. In the case of Ultra Street Fighter 4, depending on how much of your ultra gauge you have, your revenge gauge, that would determine how much you are going to be healed. So in this case, I would like Kazuya's up back 1+2, not the rage drive combo from the uppercut. No, not from that. Just up back 1+2 in itself should be given a buff, whether it be 20%, 25%, or in my opinion, to keep it safe, a maximum of 30%. Kazuya should be able to heal himself by transforming into his devil form. That way you get more time to utilize the devil form fully, as compared to just looking for a big damage combo into rage drive or rage art. That seems to be the linear way to do it, and I feel like that's the brain dead way to do it. I feel like there should be more utility within Kazuya's rage drive and more utility in his transformation. I feel like it would be way too strong to allow him to transform in and out of devil form when outside of rage as just a regular move. That wouldn't be good. That I feel like that in itself would be too strong. You can get away with it when it comes to characters with Zeku in, I would dare say, more balanced games, but when it comes to Tekken, you don't want to give characters too many good options. They can become quite oppressive. So that's my 2 cents on how to buff up back 1+2, and that's make it a heal. The lower life Kazuya has, if he's left on a pixel, he should get a guaranteed 30% heal when getting into devil form, and maybe when he's just at the beginning of rage, it can just be a minuscule heal, maybe 10% or 15%. That way, as a player, you actually get to utilize your utilities as Kazuya in devil form, as compared to just transforming immediately and dying. I don't know. I felt like I just had to put this out there. Maybe the actual Kazuya players can have a better idea of what I can be talking about in this case. Someone could chime in on the comments, and I feel like maybe one day, maybe season 3 or season 4, I tell you now, this buff has to come. If only it were possible, if only Harada were to listen to this one day, or the Tekken project team. But I feel like up back 1+2 right now has very little incentive. I'm sacrificing my rage to transform. No, anyway, that's my rant, my 2 cents. Definitely something worth considering. For any of the Kazuya players who know better, please say something in the comments, and maybe hopefully one day this will be heard. The cries of all Kazuya players and up back 1+2 will be heard. But anyway, I'll see you again next time.